have three exceptional young people joining us this morning on the panel for this International Youth Day. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome a UNICEF advocate, youth advocate from Barbados, whose passion for climate action and the environment has led her to create platforms for young people to participate in advocacy and community action. So please welcome Miss Maria Marshall.
Giving me a WWE walkout.
Pardon?
Giving me a WWE walkout.
A W? You're going to play a song next time, Maria. You can have a seat there in the middle. And all the way from St. Kitts and Nevis is a young advocate with a passion for education, health, and STEM, and creating more opportunities for young people. Ajernee Hodge.
Hi, everyone.
And last but by no means least, a young man who many of you would know, who has gone on to international recognition. He's a young entrepreneur from the parish of Christchurch, Mr. Akeme Cox. So, this conversation is going to be a very engaging and exciting one. As I said, we have three very special young people alongside us. Ajernee.
Hi.
You're all the way from St. Kitts.
And Nevis.
And Nevis as well.
Nevis. Let's emphasize Nevis because that's where I'm from.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So, you have a passion for education.
Yes.
Where did this passion start? What first encouraged you to speak up and get into youth leadership?
Well, to be honest, since I've known myself, I've been very curious and I've loved learning. I think as I got older, I started participating more in community, and as I became more involved, I realized that that is my calling. I have never actually stepped forward to say I am the leader, but people would say, step up because you are the one who we see as your leader. I found that leadership isn't exactly being in charge, because oftentimes there's persons bossing us around and telling us what to do, but that's not really leadership. It's about helping others and helping to build others so that they can become their better selves. So I feel as though knowing that I can be that example and I can help others and help them to better themselves is what inspired me to come into youth leadership.
Brilliant. And as you know, the topic and the theme for International Youth Day this year is different contexts, common aspirations. Mm-hmm. So we all come from different backgrounds, different focuses, but it's one common aspiration to become better and to make our communities and our countries a much better place. And Maria, you have been leading that cause as a young person in secondary school in climate action. Where did that motivation come from?
Honestly, when I first started, I never really set out to be a UNICEF youth advocate or anything really. I saw something wrong and I acted upon it based on what I was already raised. Like, my belief system was very eco-friendly. I've always been raised to be very environmentally conscious. I've always cared about the environment. So when I saw someone just carelessly litter and they threw a bottle out of a moving vehicle while I was driving with my mom to lessons, and that really popped my bubble for me, and I realized that I really had to act upon it. So I used the talents and the skills that I had, which at the time were, I was interested in photography, I was interested in film and story making. So I put my two skill sets together and I used them to create my very first video, Little Thoughts on Big Matters. And this really got the ball rolling for me, because after I entered that into NIFCA, the National Independence Festival for Creative Arts here in Barbados, that's what got UNICEF to recognize me. And then I became a change maker, and then all of these other things started happening. I spoke to Orlando Bloom. I got an audience with the Prime Minister. So all in all, the lesson really is that you just, as long as you're doing something for a good cause and you are passionate about it and interested in it, you will eventually maintain that momentum and continue to do great things, and you will be rewarded for it. But it's important that we don't just go after things just for, oh, I want to be this, because you can't always see the end goal of certain things. Sometimes you can only see the first 2 steps ahead. So it's always good to just have do good things for a good cause.
That's beautiful. Do good things for a good cause. And you learn as you move. And Akeme, you come from a slightly different background, coming from a community often known for specific negative connotations, but you have overcome that. Akeme, share with the audience your journey into where you are today.
Well, I started off as a slave to popular thinking, I I used to be on the block, smoking weed, growing marijuana, like doing everything that was bad. And I think my biggest problem was that the block became the community center. So even though it was the most dangerous place for me physically, it was the safest place for me mentally. You understand? And the one good male role model I had signed me up for a youth program called the King's Trust program. And I only went because I didn't want to disappoint him. And the program completely changed my life. I traveled all over the world and mentor young people. I was invited to the coronation of His Majesty the King Charles. I worked with celebrities like Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, but most importantly, the biggest celebrities I work with are the young people of Barbados. Wow. So, yeah, man, I would say the journey has been beautiful, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
That's absolutely beautiful. And, you know, the Prime Minister often says you have to be a global citizen with Bajan roots. And we can see all two of you, but you can get honorary citizenship, Ajernee, being a Bajan. I'm sure by the end of this trip, you'll enjoy Barbados so much that you would want to come here and study and live as well. But this is a beautiful start. So, Maria, I'm going to come back to you now at this point in time. Climate action. You know, oftentimes they say climate change and the climate conversation is a very high-level conversation. But you've sought to break that down for younger people especially. Speak to some of the projects and programs you have worked on that has brought benefit to your community.
Of course. Well, outside of trying my best, because when I first started, I started posting content on social media because honestly, that's all I could have really done because I started off in the COVID period. But recently, I have gotten into the real world, and I've been starting with my actual community-based initiatives. One of these is actually a project called Blue, Green, and Everything in Between. It originally started off, again, similarly to my Little Thoughts with Big Matters. As I saw something wrong, I used some of my skill sets in order to try and fix it in my own way. I had noticed that in the area of Oistins, which is a fishing village in Barbados, it's popular for its social-cultural events, like the Oistins Fish Fry and the Oistins Fish Festival. And the Oistins Fish Festival is actually on our yearly calendar of events, so it's very important for our tourism as well and socio-economic activities. So it's important that we protect it. But I decided to create this cleanup in this area to help figure out what types of garbage we could find in that area and also different ways that we could use this garbage perchance. And I actually was able to find out a lot of different things in that area. Like certain things that happened with the garbage cans is after the fish fries and events, they would take them back up. And I only learned that because I had that community event and I was able to engage with my community. But because I'm a very creative person and I've been always building and maintaining my activities, I decided to build upon my Blue, Green, and Everything in Between. And I've added other things to it to hopefully engage other young people and try to spread the word that, you know, climate isn't just something that shows up sometimes as a topic for an essay or in biology or in social studies. It's something that is around us every day, especially our environment. And it's something that we should all be conscious about and try to protect.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so very much. And I think we have to continue to build that consciousness. Ajernee, I'm going to come back to you now. You've worked in menstrual health.
Yes.
For young women especially. What caused you to go into that area and what results have you seen from the work you've been doing?
Okay, so before I start to answer that question, I want to ask a question from the audience myself. I'll ask you all to raise your hands if you would openly and willingly get up in a random area and say, oh, I'm on my period. This is for the girls. Would you randomly get up and say, oh, I'm on my period. Can somebody lend me a pad? Raise your hand if you would do that. Okay. I see one single hand. Now, for the guys, I want to ask you, if a girl came up to you and said, I'm on my period, if she's your, let's say, your best friend or home girl, as we call them now, I'm on my period, and can you get me a pad or something from somebody else in the class? Would you get up and go into your classroom full of boys and girls and say, this person is on their period, can you get me a pad? Raise your hand if you would do that. Okay, I see a few more hands from the boys, which is commendable. Now, if you look around right now, if you were looking around while I asked that question, you realize little to no one raised their hands. And that is why I started advocating, because what I've realized in the Caribbean is that menstrual health and mental health as well seem to be touchy or taboo topics that anyone seldom wants to talk about. I recall last year when I participated in the UNICEF menstrual health conversation, and I invited my peers to join. They asked me questions like, you're going online, because it was an Instagram live, you're going online to talk about periods? That is so weird. And when they found out that Kareem, can you just wave so they can see you? When they found out that Kareem was hosting this conversation, they were like, that is so odd, because it's a male hosting a female, quote-unquote, female-only issue. And that is a big, big problem, because we have the misconception that a period and menstrual health affects females only, when the reality is that it impacts all of us. And that is why it's important for all young people, not just young girls, to come together and talk about these issues affecting all of us, because if we want to make real change for the future, it has to start with the future. It can't start with the present or the past. So if we want real change and we want to bring awareness, we have to start together and start talking together to get this awareness.
You know, that's a beautiful saying. And Kareem, I know in your next life, perhaps you can be a female health specialist. And I must commend you for also saying that periods affect everyone.
It's normal, guys. It's normal.
Yes, normal, yes.
Can I hear you guys say that periods are normal? No. I'm hearing a lot of murmuring in the back when we're not talking, and even when we're talking and nobody wants to say periods are normal. Let's hear a lot more people. There's a lot of people in here. Periods are normal. Do you guys want to sing a song? Do you want to sing a song? Okay, so periods are normal. Let me hear you. Periods are normal. Yes, let's normalize this, okay?
Beautiful, Ajernee. Akeme, I'm going to come to you now. Your work with young people has transcended communities internationally as well. Speak to some of the programs and projects you've worked on as brought benefit to young people across the world.
I work with the Make a Difference organization and the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Taahir Bradshaw. We had a retreat at Paragon for 50 young men from the St. Michael area. And I think that program was really a breath of fresh air, because a lot of young men don't even want to say they need help, because they care about what their friends say and how it will affect their aura, you know. They will look soft. And the good thing about that program is that all of the young men, all of their friends were at the program too. And there's this misconception in society saying that young men in Barbados don't want anything good. That is so far from the truth. I think that we have to meet them where they're at. Like, I was once a lost young man, you know, and I had one positive male role model, one, and he completely changed the trajectory of my life. So that's why I always pay it forward. Anytime someone calls me, like, we need you to come and speak with this group or to work with this group, I always go, because the young men, like, are an endangered species. Young men of Barbados are an endangered species.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I know many young men in this audience would relate to that. And young men, if you have a question for Akeme, there's going to be a segment very shortly where you can ask your questions to anyone on the panel. Maria, I'm going to jump back to you at this point in time. You've spoken at the UN. How was that experience?
Well, I would assume that for the Summit of the Future, my microphone is not working. I don't think so. But, you know, I've got a loud voice. I'm quite a talkative person. I think I got this. However, when I attended the Summit of the Future for New York in 2024, it was a big change. I've never been to a big city like New York, and for the first time, you know, I felt like a dot, and I saw all of these people in their hordes rushing past for work and stuff, and it was a very different experience. Also because, you know, I come from Barbados, it's common to say, oh, good morning, good afternoon. They don't do that around there. So that was a little bit of a culture shock. And on top of that, I got to see a bunch of young people from around the world, and they were all advocates. And one thing that I noticed, obviously, was that they all are interested in different things. And we all got to work together on different projects. It was like a little workshop thing as well. And we got to learn different skills that really helped to hone our advocacy. And I hope you, Ajernee, at some point get to experience this, because it was really beneficial. You can make so many like new friends and expand your network and learn a couple of new skills that would really help you along the way. And on top of meeting all of these people, at the end of it, we all got to work on a project. And this project was a video. I believe it was titled Dear Parents. And it actually placed in something, well, it was nominated and it placed third in the nominations for something called a Webby. Question to the audience, have any of you heard of a Grammy before? Mm-hmm. Well, a Webby is like the online digital version of a Grammy. So could you believe that? That's pretty insane. We were able to represent Barbados and sort of place in a Grammy. You know Sesame Street? Well, we beat out Elmo because I think that year they didn't even get to place. So congrats to UNICEF and congrats to all the young people that worked on that. And I got to see amazing things, you know. There was a girl who was hearing impaired and she participated in the video. And I got to learn a couple of things. I believe this is what you do to clap in sign language. So I got to see many different experiences. This. I got to see many different experiences and a lot of different contexts that different people had. Some people came from war-torn areas like Ukraine, and some people came from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we got to learn about different areas and how they're impacted by climate change as well. So it was definitely an eye-opener for me. It was wonderful. Thank you.
That's beautiful to share. And I'm sure many in the crowd would be motivated by all of you on this stage. And I want to open up at this point in time for any questions from the audience. We have a mic person who will share the mic. So if you have any questions, you can address it to anyone on the panel, including myself. If you want to ask a question or make a comment or anything of sort. So we have Zanaya, it looks like, who wants to ask a question. So just say your name and where you're from. And the person with the mic will get, it's here to my left. So it is right here behind the Barbados Youth Advance Square persons. So you can just say your name, which school you go to, and you can go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Zanaya and I go to the Allen School.
Any Allen persons in the crowd?
My question is for the young lady. I can't remember your name, from St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh.
I wrote it down, sorry.
Ajernee, could you speak up a little bit, please?
This can come off. Right, my question is for you. Well, it's a statement and a question.
Okay.
I agree that periods are normal and shouldn't be stigmatized. However, I also believe it's a personal matter. Some young ladies may feel comfortable saying in front of the class that they need a pad, while others may prefer to quietly ask the teacher or a personal friend. I don't think anyone should feel pressured to announce something personal if they're not comfortable. So my question is, are you saying that because a period is normal, you should openly alert everyone that it's your week or time?
No, I'm not saying you go out and announce. I'm just saying that you should be comfortable knowing that you can go to someone and ask for a pad without being too shy. Right now, I like to recommend something. I am a private person. I talk and I love to talk, but when it comes to personal things, I'm very private about it. So what I did when I was going to high school, my mom packed what we call a period pouch, where you'd have your pads or your tampons, whichever you prefer, maybe a light snack, an extra pair of clothes just in case you have a mess. And just so you're prepared for that time of the month, you don't carry it with you all the time, but if you realize, okay, next week I might have my period, you can start packing it then. So I'm not saying just go out and publicly announce that you are on your period or it's that time of the week, but I'm saying it shouldn't be something you shy away from. I know recently I saw a video where, influencers jokingly talk and say random things around their parents. This particular influencer told her father that she was on the period, and the way he behaved wasn't the way you'd expect a father or a mother to behave. You'd expect a parent to be like, oh my, how can I help you? Lend you a snack or something like that. But he went into a whole frenzy. He was like, don't mess up the vehicle, don't do this, don't do that. I'm saying that we're trying to change that kind of point of view. Instead of having people come in to fight down and say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, because they believe, okay, they're going to mess it up and I can't get it cleaned out. Guys, it's just a bit of peroxide and it's clean, it's gone. So it shouldn't be something we're afraid of talking about. I'm not saying announce it, but stop making it seem like it's a bad thing. It's not a curse, it's a blessing. It shows that you are able to reproduce and bring into the world what other people can't, okay? And yes, I said reproduce, so if you're chuckling because you heard reproduce, it's okay, we all do it, okay? Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Zanaya. Thank you, Ajernee, for the lovely answer. Any other questions at this point in time? Oh, you have a good set. Okay, just say your name, which school you go to.
My name is DeAndre Peters. I go to the Barbados Community College. So my question is for the young gentleman. As a young man in Barbados now, what is some advice that you would give to me or fellow young people in the streets out there? What's some advice you would give to us?
I would tell you two things. Start something and to check yourself. Check is an acronym. So the first C is clarity. Be honest with yourself, you know? The next letter is H, habits. Let your habits show who you are. The other E is environment. A seed cannot grow in the wrong environment. So surround yourself with people that are looking to reach the same levels that you want to reach. The other C is community. You have to decide who are your life jackets and who are your anchors. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. And then the other letter is K. Keep going, like, don't give up, be resilient. Like, you'll hear no 99 times, but at one time you hear yes, it's totally worth it.
So my final question is for all three of you guys. So I know you guys have done a lot of work throughout your time. So my question is, what's the most memorable thing that you guys have done?
Oh, that's a lovely question. Maria, you go first?
Last year in 2025, I was asked by the Prime Minister to, I think the leader of the country, but she had won an award for her work in climate change. And I was there to present something called the Zayed Award. And when I had to get up on a stage just like this one, and I did not come prepared for the weather at all. I was wearing like a normal t-shirt and like a very flimsy material, so I was very, very cold. Expecting the desert to be so freezing cold. But I remember being up on the stage like this, holding a microphone and my tablet, and I was freezing, but I had to just lock my knees and say my speech, because I was like, okay, the Prime Minister's right there. There's a world leaders, a lot of people were watching this, so I knew I had to lock in. And honestly, I think this might be an experience that a lot of different young people would have in different ways. You know, you're gonna face challenges, you're gonna be afraid, you might not exactly know where you are supposed to go, but as long as you know you have something to do and you have a mission to accomplish, and it's a good mission to accomplish, as long as you stick to your guts, I think despite you might be cold, you might be freezing, you might be scared, you might not even remember your speech fully, but as long as you are focused, you can get it done.
Okay, so I'd like to answer next. Last year, around this same time, I went to Mexico. It was a big, big, big first for me in so many ways. It was my first time traveling, for one, and then it was my first time participating in a forum that big. It was like this size, but times 3 or 4. It was massive, and I was I was in stage, but we were in a circle for discussion, and I had to talk with other girls from throughout the region and persons from throughout the region about care. And in that very moment, all I could hear is my mother from when I was younger, and she told me, don't be afraid to use your voice. I was bullied, and I'm sure a few of us have been bullied, or majority of us have been bullied at least once in our lives. And what she told me that day was, don't be afraid to use your voice in a positive way. Let me put emphasis on positive, because sometimes we use our voice to break down others and to make them feel less of themselves. I was taught to use my voice in a positive way, and when I was given that opportunity to use my voice alongside the voices of many girls in that region to try and bring change to how we look at the care system, it made me feel out of this world. It was unbelievable, and it is an experience I will remember forever. So I want to tell you, thank you for that question, and don't forget to use your voice, no matter what.
My most memorable moment was when I won the King's Trust Global Award in 2020. This was the first thing I ever won in my life. So imagine me, a young man that was a slave to popular thinking, doing everything that is wrong, getting a phone call saying that I have won a global award, and I went against young people from 30 different countries around the world. I cried. Men cried, I cried, but not tears of joy.
Yes.
And I went to England, and I was invited to dinner at Buckingham Palace. So this was on the verge of COVID. So this was back in 2020. And security gave us a briefing and told us, well, His Majesty isn't shaking any hands or anything because we have to respect protocols, COVID protocols. And I was the first person in the line, and he came straight to me, stuck out his hand to shake my hand. So imagine me now getting debriefed on COVID protocols. I was shocked, but I shook his hand. The dinner was very eye-opening. I met people from around the world, and then the ceremony was the icing on the cake, where I met a lot of young people like myself from around the world that have similar stories and are doing great things. So that was the most memorable moment so far.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Tonica Cargill, and I go to the Grant Adams Memorial Secondary School. I'm 13. My question is, what drives you to do what you do?
I'm going to ask Akeme to answer that question.
Seeing the young men in Barbados doing great things is all the motivation I need. So just seeing young people succeed and push down barriers and achieve great things, because Barbados is full with so many wonderful young people. So that keeps me motivated, seeing young people win.
Okay, thank you.
Next person, say your name and where you go to school.
My name is Rashana Rogers. I attend the Lester Vaughan School, and my question is for all of you. What would you say has had the biggest impact on your life?
Ajernee first.
Okay, sure. The biggest impact on my life was, I must say, the day I met Farhana. Approximately 5 or 6 months after that, when she wrote and asked if I would be willing to become a UNICEF youth advocate, was a big impact. Why? Because I started off in forums just like these. I love to volunteer, so whenever there was an opportunity for me to participate in those forums, I'd gladly reach out and say, "Hi, teacher, I'd like to participate." And I met her at one of those forums. So just meeting her because I was using my voice to talk up about something, and then getting this opportunity has made a big impact and has showed me that sometimes just being there and talking, you don't have to be the brightest in the room. You just have to be able to talk from heart, be passionate about what you're talking about, and you can make a big difference.
For the purposes of time, we're going to ask that we limit it to one response, because we have a few questions and we have to move forward as well, yeah? So after, you can have the conversation with Maria and Akeme to get the answer, yeah? It's fine? So thank you for the questions. You just want to keep it moving.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jazara Gibson, and I go to Harrison College. My question is targeted at Maria. Throughout your life and especially in your advocacy for climate change, you said had met people that had come from war-stricken countries like Ukraine and DR Congo. In your experience, how has them advocating for climate change changed your perception of climate change on the whole?
Well, some of the people that I met, I don't even remember if they specifically advocated for climate change. I think some of them were human rights. But I can definitely say from the experience of interacting and obviously befriending some of these people, it's definitely sort of put something in my mind that, there are actual situations where people the infrastructure of some of these buildings are already being destroyed by wars. So then when climate-related disasters come, they're at double risk. So it's almost like one wave of like a hurricane and then a bomb or something like that. And it can really mess with like the minds of certain people. And I could only imagine what it'd be like for some of the children that live in these areas. And on top of the whole situation of just being in a war zone, knowing someone who is in a war zone, it's a little bit weird because your friend, you feel like your friend could get attacked at any moment, and it's a bit weird because I sort of get a little scared for them, but I know they will be okay. So it just opens up different areas to think about when it comes to climate change. Like some of the stories that I would have heard about the impacts of climate change come from my dad, and he went to Dominica, and I would have learned about the horrific events that happen during hurricanes, and people's legs getting cut off, very traumatizing stuff. So I couldn't imagine both that and a hurricane happening at the same time, or a monsoon. So it's very scary.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your question as well.
Hi, good morning. My name is Savannah. I'm 17 years old and I attend Springer Memorial. And my question is for Akeme. So you mentioned how one person changed the trajectory of your life. And as young people, we often worry about being judged by our peers or by others around us. My question to you is, how can we move past that fear and recognize the power we have to positively influence someone's life?
Remember your why. Always remember your why. Peer pressure is a very serious thing to deal with, but something of an experience is that a lot of my friends look up to me. So I encourage a lot of my friends to become better. So I would tell you to remember your why and remind your friends that there's better out there for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to wrap up the question and answer segment very shortly. So I see 3 more persons after Tajay. So those will be the last 3. 3 persons, yeah? So just ask your question very quickly, and I'm going to ask the panelists to keep your answer to at least 1 minute, yeah?
Blessed good morning. My name is Taahir. I am 17 years old. I am a graduate of the Croatian Parish School, and my question goes towards Akeme. Right, are you saying your name right?
No, you good.
All right, thanks. So I have a question. So if by any chance, how do you find these people to these young men of Barbados, right? Because you say that young men of Barbados are going extinct in terms of, being free to express themselves and so on without having to get judged by their friends and so on. How do you find these people?
I work with people like Taahir. I work with the ministries because young people want change. So it isn't that hard to find them, But you got to meet them where they're at. So Taahir works with the NTI. They do a great job with young people and stuff. So I just build connections with people that are already doing it.
Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning. My name is Brittany Hall. I'm a graduate from St. George Secondary School. My question could go to any of you. You all can answer. But my question is, what advice would you give to someone who has no guide, has have the idea of doing something, encouraging someone who has never met someone, what advice would you give them to go forward?
May I answer that?
Yeah, Ajernee can answer that.
Okay, so I'm gonna use Nike's slogan, just do it. Don't be afraid, just do it. If you have the idea and you feel as though you can make a change, do it. Look at Maria and myself. We had no start, no guide. We saw something, we wanted to talk about it, we had a passion for it, and we did it. And eventually we were noticed by someone in the public. We got connections, we built connections, and now we are doing what we can to help and change our region and hopefully the world. So just do it. Don't be afraid.
Thank you so very much for your question and the answer as well. Is this the final question? Okay, so the final question.
Hi, my name is Abigail Paula. I currently go to Dayton Griffith, but I went to Annie. My question is for Maria. What advice would you give us as young children relating to climate change and protecting our environment?
Well, the amazing thing about that area of climate change and stuff is that it's actually all around you. If you are interested in the sciences, you will start to learn about certain things that impact our climate and our environment. And gaining new knowledge, talking to smart people, people who are interested in meteorology and all these things. If someone comes to your school talking about it, because it's a very popular topic, ask them some questions. Go Google certain things that are interesting, and you will find out a lot of the different climate things that impact our environment and how it relates to all sorts of areas, even in healthcare and women's care, and how it impacts women's rights. And as it relates to just advocating for something, use your specific talents in order to advocate for a problem that you have. For me, it was photography and film, and I used that, and look at where I am now. So if you're good at writing, if you're good at poetry, use your skill set. And as my dad always tells me, know who you are. So this isn't in knowing that you are above or below somebody. It's knowing who you are in your interests, your hobbies, what you're not good at, and some problems that you face personally. Because you don't have to be the loudest person in the room or the tallest person in the room. You just have to know what you are about and be interested in it.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this very enlightening panel discussion. I want to thank each of our panelists, Ajernee, all the way from St. Kitts, and Neva. Thank you so very much for sharing your journey. And please continue on your trajectory as you seek to chart a path for betterment for young people across the region. Maria, thank you so very much as well. We know each other very well, so I know you will continue. I know you have no choice but to continue on your journey in climate action. And I wish you all the very best in your results. As you told me, in about 4 days' time, results are going to be out.
Fingers crossed, everybody. It's grade ones.
And Akeme, my brother, thank you so much for coming at last minute as well. I know you're always committed to young men, especially young people on a whole, and we pray for your continued success. We know you have it a bit rough at home right now, but continue on that path, and I pray for good health for all those who you're taking care of as well, yeah? So give our panelists a big, massive round of applause. And we've come to the end of this fireside chat. So we hope it was very enlightening and educational for all of you. So thank you very much for participating today.